Hello, this is a prepaid call from
Monty.
a prisoner at the Michigan Department of Corrections, Carson City West. If you feel you're being victimized or extorted by this prisoner, please contact GTL Customer Service at 855-466-2832. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this, your current balance is $25.52. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Hey,
Islam.
yeah. Wasn't nobody waiting to use the phone, so I just had to wait 10 minutes before I called back. So, yeah.
No, it's all good. We recorded right now just to let you know.
Huh?
I said we've been recorded right now just to let you know.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Okay, so
yeah,
make sure you concise and detailed.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you introduce yourself? What's your name?
Monty MatthewsBey.
How long have you been down?
33 years.
33 years.
February 13, 1989. That's when I got locked up.
Over that time, how many prisons would you say you've been to?
How many prisons?
Yeah.
Let me see. MR, Jackson, MR, Carson City, Ryan, then Max joints, back to Jackson, Berica, Standish, back to Jackson again, then Berica, then I got out the hole, then let me see, IMAX level 5, then Brooks, then Brooks, URF, then Straits, Newberry, Algermax, URF again, Cotton, then IMAX, then MR, then MTU, then Carson City here.
Wow.
So that's how many prisons I done been to over that period of time. But 6.5 years in the hole straight. So the 6.5 years in the hole was for the escape.
Okay. We're going to get into that. Out of all those joints you've been to, which one would you say was probably just the worst as far as police or inmates?
URF. URF. Yeah, that's Chippewa. They call it Chippewa East and West now. But URF round unit, that's like probably the worst place out of all the level 5s, including the whole, the worst place I've been ever. Police, the environment, the joint period.
Everybody tend to say that to this day. Now, let's backtrack a little bit. You said you were, 19 when you were incarcerated, 19, 20 years old?
20. I turned 21 in the county jail, so I was 20 when I committed my crimes. 20 years old.
What are you incarcerated for, if you don't mind me asking?
For murder in the first degree.
And what was this?
Drug-related murder that happened back in 1989. That happened out in Southfield.
What was your what was your sentence for that?
Life without the possibility of parole, natural life without the possibility of parole, and felony firearm, two for the gun, and first degree murder life.
So I'm assuming you took it to trial.
Yeah.
Okay.
And ended up getting found guilty of that.
What made you take it to trial?
Well, I didn't have no choice, If I plead guilty, I get life. It's gonna be the same sentence. So I don't, they didn't offer me no cop, so I didn't have a choice.
Real quick, can you explain to the brothers, because I tell a lot of them that's out here thugging and doing things, that the prosecutors, they don't have to offer you a plea. Is that right or wrong?
Right. They don't have to offer you a plea if they feel they got a strong enough case. They're gonna take it to trial. The only time they offer you a plea is like if they feel that they need you as a witness against somebody else, so they think that their case is not that strong. But you know, the situation I was in, you know, them charging me with first degree murder, and if they don't come with a plea, then I don't have a choice because. You know, normally they offer a lot of pleas, you know what I'm saying? You know, especially depending on what kind of attorney you got. So they offer you a plea, but in a situation where they charge you with first degree murder, then they basically, if they offered you a plea, what can you plead to unless you plead to something lesser than first degree murder? Because if you plead down to something less, then you can get lesser time. But if you go in and they don't offer you a plea, it's like, how can you how can you plead to first degree murder when the penalty is still going to be the same? It's going to be life in prison. The judge don't have no discretion to send you to anything less than that if you plead to first degree murder. You follow what I'm saying? That's what the law is. That's what the sentence is.
What was it about this crime that made them, you know, go out of the ordinary and say we're not offering them a plea? Was it something particular that bothered the prosecution, or was it the family saying, "Hey, we want the max no matter what"?
Well, in my case, they had it was, you know, this was a case that happened where they didn't have no witnesses or nothing like that. So it's like I got a individual that would have been considered my rappy that was on the run at the time that they never caught. So by them never catching him, they only had me. And one of my other homeboys that was there, he ended up telling on me. So when they caught me, then they figured that, shoot, how can they offer me a plea when, what would a plea serve when they only got me? Who would have been considered my rappy? He on the run, they never catch him. So they end up prosecuting me.
Has he never?
In the family, yes.
Has he never been caught to this day?
No, he ain't never been caught to this day.
Wow.
He ain't never been caught. That's since 1989. He done been on like you know, Michigan Most Wanted and all that. But yeah, he ain't never been caught to this day.
Does that make you bitter anyway?
Well, you know, no, not really, because you know, on my own accord, you know, I think, you know, during the time when everything happened, you know, the individual who was my homeboy at the time, I kind of, you know, got that feeling that he was gonna tell, you know, during the time when this murder happened. So, you know, it's on me, you know, because I should have took. At the time, I was 20. They both were 17. You follow what I'm saying? And it happened. It was a drug-related murder, you know, and the commissioner, you know, us, you know, trying to make it, you know, do a transaction, you know, it ended up turning into a murder. So, you know, I don't feel bitter at him. He did what I would have done, you know what I'm saying? Just so happened he never got caught. But during that time, he didn't have no fingerprints on file, and they only had one picture of him. So even if they ever caught him, they would have never knew it was him because he never had fingerprints on file. You follow what I'm saying? So
right.
He could have went to prison. He could have got caught, you know, and once they arrested him, if they don't know who he is, they would have never been able to identify him by fingerprints because he never had fingerprints on file because he had never been arrested before. You see what I'm saying? At the time when that happened, he was 17, had never been locked up. So, yeah.
When you guys...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just basically saying that, you know, ain't no telling where he could be at today, you know, but I'm just happy. I don't feel angry, you know, I don't feel bitter toward, you know, him. I just, you know, it's the situation where, you know, I end up getting caught, I end up getting locked up, so, you know, I just have to, you know, suffer the consequences for, you know, the choice I made during that time. So, yeah.
Exactly. When you got found guilty and the judge sentenced you to natural life without parole, like, what was going through your head at the moment? What was you thinking? Did you just give up all hope or what?
Well, I thought when they said that, I'm thinking like, shoot, my life is over. You know, I done made a choice, and I wasn't thinking about the severity and the gravity behind the crime that I committed during that time. But when they sentenced me, I'm thinking like, it's over. You know what I'm saying? So, at that time, I'm thinking like that. But once I got locked up, I was always saying that I'm gonna get out of prison. So
where's
I had that mindset.
Where's your mindset at today, though?
Well, my mindset is the same as it was back, over 30-some years ago, that I'm gonna get out of prison. So, God willing, my intentions is, with all the efforts that I can put forth now, dealing with the circumstances I'm in today, right now, at this point in time, I'm still trying to get out of prison. It's just I'm taking a different route, because I done exhausted all appeals. That didn't work. So I'm at the point where I say, okay, I committed that crime. I committed it over 30-some years ago. I take responsibility for it. I look at, the decision that I made. I have remorse. I definitely have sympathy and empathy for the family, that went through what they done went through. I done lost my mother, since I've been here, so I can kind of understand what it is to lose a loved one. But, and then I got a different way of thinking, I don't think the same way that I thought over 30-some years ago when I was 20 years old. So I done, basically changed my thoughts and my way of thinking. So, and then the decisions and the choices that I made then, those are choices and decisions that I definitely wouldn't make today. And I'm much older, so you got to think about 20, and now I'm 53 and going on 54 this year. So, and we talking about a totally different person than I was back then. So.
We know so the juvenile life bill was anything 17 and under, since it's natural life, is considered crude and unusual. But science tells us that the male brain the frontal lobe doesn't fully develop or nearly develop until he's about 25. When you say it's more fair that maybe they should raise it from 17 to at least 21 years old?
Well, I think so, because when you think about it, we thinking about individual at that time, and when the age that they got it at now, we talking about 16, 17. So making a decision where they saying, okay, your brain hadn't developed to the point where you can make adult decisions where you saying, okay, this choice that I'm making right now is going to cost me the rest of my life. This is the penalty, so I think they should raise it to the age at least 21 or over, so they talking about 25. So, I can't say which age, but they done did, experiments and tests and, talk to different psychologists and, guys that spoke about it. So you got to think about it. The highest court in the land, I think that was 2000 and, I'm trying to remember whatever they, the Supreme Court basically said it was unconstitutional to sentence a juvenile to life without the possibility of parole, a life period. So, they done basically said that, these individuals at that time, they agreed that, you got to think about it. They had to agree with what everybody, as far as doctors and psychologists and scientists and, saying is basically that these individuals was at the age where they couldn't even make a choice, where they would be able to understand the severity and gravity behind that crime that they committed during that time. So, and then you got to think about it, as a juvenile, you being waived. As a juvenile, you're not going through juvenile court, because if you do, and then, you're going to be locked up in juvenile until you of a certain age, and then they're going to let you go for whatever crime. So they waiving your juvenile status and charging you as an adult. So, basically we talking about individuals who, 20.
You have one remaining.
I think it's still, is in the same category when we talking about youth, because you got individuals that they got the mind of a child that might be 25. So
exactly.
Depending on his upbringing, education, and and everything else that that go along with that.